All right, so this video will focus on looking at the area and perimeter and circumference of circles. So let's start off first with these perimeters of polygons. And what I want you to do is I want you to pause this video and figure out what each of these perimeters are equal to. Now for the very first one, of course, and we know that's 6 times 4, or 6 plus 6 plus 6 plus 6, and we get 24. So pause this and figure out the rest. All right, so now that you've had a chance to kind of check them out, here are the various answers. So I have 40, 36, 120, 16, and 60. And what we want to do today is find the circumference of a circle. And the very first thing you have to know about the circumference of a circle is the formula. So C equals diameter times pi, or C equals 2 pi r. And the reason why I say this is because if you take a circle and the distance around is the circumference, if I unrolled this and I have one large line, right? If I just unrolled this thing here, and if I found the diameter, which is the distance from one side to the other, and I broke this into sections, you'll never guess this, but it's kind of crazy. The Greeks figured this out. How many of these sections do you think fit within this circumference if I unrolled this? And the answer is it's always the same, just so you know, with every circle. It's 1, 2, 3, 0.1415. This actually equals pi, which is interesting. If I take this and unroll it and divide it by the amount of these diameters, I'm going to have 3.14 diameters in every circumference. So that's how they figure out these formulas. If I take the diameter times pi, I will get the circumference. How radius and diameter work together is, if I look at a circle, I have my diameter, of course, which is the whole way across, and radius is going to be from one side right to the middle. So there's actually 2 radii within 1 diameter, which is why it's 2r is the same thing as 1d, right? So if I go through here and I want to find the circumference, I have my radius here, and I have to multiply this by 2, so 6 times 2 is 12, and then 12 times 3.14 is about 37.68. If I take this one here, let me just show you a different way to do it. And no, I'm not going to save that. And so I'm going to take 2 times 2, which equals 4. And now I'm going to use the 22 sevenths. So I take 4 times 22 sevenths. And some people say 4 over 1 because it's easier to keep track of things. If I go here, 4 times 22 is 88 over 7. And if I go and grab a calculator real fast and take 88 divided by 7, I get this 12.5. So this should be around 12.5. There it is. This one here, I do the same thing where I take 3.5 times 3.5 times either 22 divided by 7 or by 3.14. In either case, I get about 22 centimeters. These are different along the bottom because instead of having radius, I have diameter, which is the full distance across. So I'm going to take 20 times 3.14. If I do that, so 20 times 3.14, I mean about 62.8, which is exactly what I have here. This here is 14 times 3.14 is about 43.96, so close to 44. And this one, of course, is 1 times 3.14, which is just 3.14. So here are the big key ideas, that a diameter is equal to 2 radiuses, and a radius is equal to diameter divided by 2. These mean exactly the same thing, it's just in the way that I'm looking at them. So if I want to find the diameter the diameter of a circle is 20, find the radius. Well, it's half of this, right? So it would be 10. If this is 7 for the radius, what's the diameter? I double it and I get 14. It says the diameter of a circle is 16 centimeters, find the radius. So the whole way across is 16. And halfway is just 8, right? The radius of a circle is 9. So what's the diameter? Of course, I double it, I get 18. So again, my key idea here is my circumference, which I showed before, is diameter times pi, or circumference is 2 times the radius times pi. So if I look at these right here, and I have 5 as my radius, I have to double this to find the circumference, right? So it would be 10. 10 times 3.14, which is 31.4. This one here, I'm going to use the 22 sevenths. I have my whole distance across is 28 So I'll take 28 times 22 over 7. And if we take 22, just so we know what this is, if I take 22 I get really close to pi, right? 3.142857. So it's very close to pi. So I'm going to take 28 times 22 divided by 7. I get 88 here. And that's my answer. This one here, I'm going to take this circumference, or this radius, and I'm going to double it. So I'll have 4 times pi. This would be 14 times pi. And this is 9 times pi. In any case, this is what it actually equals. This is a really interesting problem. So I'm going to start off with, first of all, it says your circumference of a roll of caution tape decreases by 10.5. So I have 31.4 minus 10.5. And if I figure that out real fast, so I'll take 31.4 minus 10.5. I get 20.9. And that's my circumference, right? 20.9. So I'm going to set this up now as my circumference. So 20.9 equals, and it says, I know it's d times pi, right? And pi is like 3.14. So I take d equals 20.9 divided by 3.14. D will equal 6.65. If I look up here, which number is closest to 6.65? Well, B is. And that's the answer. So next we're going to talk about semicircles. All right, so if I go to semicircles, if we know that a full circle is 2 times diameter, or radius times pi, or diameter times pi, and I want to have half of it, I would just take that number and I'd divide it by 2, right? So either case would be divided by 2. So let's go through here and figure it out. So I have the diameter. So it would be diameter times pi divided by 2. So the diameter is 6. So I'll have 6 divided by 2 times pi. And that equals 3 pi. And then 3 times pi, which is 3 times 3.14, equals about 9. Let's figure out exactly what it is here. So 3 times 3.14 is 9.42. And that's for this part right here. But then I have to go back through and add up this bottom piece too. So plus 6, right? So my whole perimeter around this circle is equal to 15.42. All right, so let's try this one here. And this one here, and this one here. I'll give you a moment to do them. And here are your answers. Now the big points I want to make sure you understand is that you understand how pi is determined. Again, you take the circumference and you divide it by the diameter, you'll have 3.14 diameters within any circumference. And that's how the Greeks figured out this pi number. We know that 2 radius equals 1 diameter. We know that, again, the formula for the circumference of a circle is C equals D times pi, or C equals 2R times pi. And the formula for the area of a circle is radius squared times pi. And that equals your area. Or I could have D divided by 2 squared times pi equals A. All right, and that is really